Bottom line, we're part of a generation that was handed a raw deal on retirement. We got robbed. And if you're like me, you're just now realizing how bad it actually is. If you were born between 1965 and 1980, you belong to Generation X. And there's roughly 64.5 million of us American Gen Xers, staring retirement straight in the face. And, well, Houston, we've got a problem. Yeah, we got a problem, all right. Because you see, there's this massive gap between what you need and what you've got. And that 401k system that was supposed to replace the traditional pensions your dad had? Fair to say, it has failed most of us. 40 grand. There's a number that'll stop you right in your tracks. $40,000. That's what the typical Gen X household has saved for retirement. Not the average, the median. Half of us have less than that. Half. That number's enough to keep you up at night. And it does. Those in the know will tell you that you need 1.56 million to retire comfortably. Comfortably. Not in the lap of luxury. No, just comfortable. And if you do the math, well, it ain't pretty. Because you're looking at a gap of $1.45 million. And that clock on the wall, it ain't slowing down for nobody. This isn't some sad story about lazy savers or irresponsible spending. This is a story about how the entire retirement system was ripped out from under your feet by the very people who had already secured their own golden parachutes. And quite frankly, if you're going to have any shot at fixing this, you need to understand exactly how you got here. Here, as in this whole mess we Gen X are in. Let's go back exactly to where it started. When you were growing up, retirement looked pretty simple. Your dad worked for a company for 25 or 30 years, got a gold watch, a retirement party with a card signed by all 147 employees, and he went on to collecting a pension check every month until the day his number was up. That was the deal. The company managed the money, the company took the risk, and you got a guaranteed income for life. In 1980, 38% of private sector workers in America had a defined benefit pension, the kind where your employer funds it, manages it, and promises you a specific monthly payment in retirement. You didn't have to be a stock market genius. You didn't have to guess how long you'd live. The money just showed up, and you got to enjoy your Winnebago carefree. But behind the scenes? In 1974, when you were still in school, Congress pulled a fast one on you. Yeah, dude, I'm shocked too. Anyways, they passed a thing called the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, which was meant to protect pensions, but it actually, big freaking surprise, well, it started making them more expensive for employers to maintain. The Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation was created to insure these plans, but as you'd expect, it ended up adding even more regulatory burden. Then get this, in 1978, Congress passed the Revenue Act, and in those laws, those lunatics our parents voted for, well, they buried a small, tiny provision, Section 401, Paragraph K, about a page and a quarter long. That's it, a whole page and a quarter that would eventually reshape and, quite frankly, destroy the retirement security of an entire generation. Your generation, buddy. Our generation. 1977 reporting for duty. Let me know in the comments which year you're reporting from. Now let me tell you about the man, the legend, the star of the Gen X Retirement Crisis Show. Ted Benna. And dude was a benefits consultant from a suburb in Philly. In 1980, he figured out that this obscure little tax provision could be used to create employer-based savings plans, where workers set aside pre-tax money from their paychecks. Good old Benna created the first 401k plan, and for decades now, he's been called the father of the 401k. But, because there is a but, and a big one, the retirement crisis Gen X is facing? Oh, don't you dare blame Benna for it. No. Benna never intended for the 401k to replace pensions. The way he saw it, the 401k was supposed to be extra, a supplement, to make sure all your needs were taken care of. Like a side dish, a spare tire, your girlfriend on the side, whatever you want to call it. But the head honchos in corporate America? Oh, they saw something entirely different. They saw an angle, an opportunity, a free pass to get out of the pension business altogether. In their eyes, a defined benefit pension is a liability on a company's balance sheet. So the 401k? Well, that now shifts every penny of risk from the corporation to you, buddy. Hey, Look at you go! So by the mid-1980s, pension plans started disappearing. And since 1985, more than 84,000 pension plans have vanished in this country. 84,000. By the time you were celebrating the Big 4-0 right around 2013, 80% of employer retirement plans were 401ks, and only 20% were traditional pensions. And Ted Benna, the guy who actually created the 401k, he watched all of this happen in real time. And you want to know what he said? He said he helped open the door for Wall Street to make even more money. And he's been calling the 401k a monster for years. Says it should be blown to smithereens and scrapped entirely. The man who built it, he wants us to do away with it. And that, my friend, that should cue you in right there. And as the infomercial guy used to say, but wait, there's more! The corporate executives who killed off pensions in the 80s and 90s, baby boomers. They were already in their 40s and 50s at the time. And their pensions, wouldn't you know it, were already locked in, already safe. They pulled the ladder up and walked away. Today, only 14% of Gen Xers have a pension. The rest of you, you're on your own. And it gets worse. When you entered the workforce in the late 80s and 90s, the 401k was brand new. No auto-enrollment. No auto-escalation, no target date funds, no guidance, nothing. You got handed the keys to a system nobody had figured out yet and told, good luck with that. Millennials and Gen Z came along later. The system had been cleaned up by then. Better options, more guardrails, more hand-holding. You? You got thrown in the deep end with no swimming lessons. Sink or swim, buddy. And then the economy tried to drown you. Of course, not once, but twice. And God knows what the heck we're even looking at for this year, but I digress. You were in your 30s during the dot-com crash. Watched your early savings go bye-bye, wiped out, down the drain. Barely caught your breath before the Great Recession hit in 2007, and that one was brutal. Gen X lost 38% of their median net worth. $2 trillion in 401k and IRA value, gone with the wind. Prime earning years, also gone. Not once, twice. And then, just for good measure, let's hit Gen X with another historical event, the COVID mess of 2020. Yeah, right when you were finally building momentum again. Of course, you were rebuilding, because no matter what you throw at us, you can't stop us. It's in our Gen X DNA. Can't stop, won't stop. Now, there's a small piece of good news. Since 2010, your net worth has recovered, up about 115%. But recovering to where you started isn't the same as getting ahead. It's like Gen X has been in survival mode, fighting an uphill battle since the day we were born. But yeah, we're not ones to cry, why me? Why now? Nah. We leave that to our beloved Gen Z kids. Regardless of your die-hard level mental fortitude, here's where you actually stand. The average Gen X 401k balance is around $222,000. Sounds kind of okay, until you find out the average is being pulled up by a small number of people with very large balances. The median? $10,000. Bottom quartile of Gen X savers? $200. Second quartile? $4,200. 40% of Gen X workers have zero in their retirement accounts. Zero. 48% of you have done no retirement planning at all. More than millennials. More than boomers. 69% say they're behind. 47% say they're significantly behind. And 70%, 7 out of 10 of you, say you're more afraid of running out of money than you are of dying. More afraid of going broke than dying. Now you might be wondering, if you know you're behind, why aren't you saving more? Well, the reality is, a lot of us Gen Xers are trapped. Trapped taking care of kids, college, rent, expenses for adult children who haven't launched yet, or have failed to launch, and are now living in our basements, eating our food and treating our house like it's a Holiday Inn at the venerable age of 28 years old. But once again, I digress, and at the same time you're taking care of your aging parents, helping with medical bills, caregiving, financial support, being bled dried from both ends simultaneously. Good times. So what happens? You cut your retirement contributions. You carry more credit card debt. You rob your future self to take care of the people you love right now. It's an impossible spot to be in, and millions of you are living it. every single day. And for Gen X women, the picture is even harder. Median retirement savings for Gen X women, $6,000. For single Gen X men, it's $13,000. Nobody's winning here. Now here's where a lot of you breathe a little easier and say, at least I've got Social Security. Don't get too comfortable. According to the 2025 Social Security Trustees Report, the trust funds are projected to run short in 2034. That's 2 years after the first Gen Xers hit full retirement age. Benefits won't disappear entirely, but they'd be cut by around 19%, 81 cents on the dollar. 77% of Gen Xers say they're worried Social Security won't be there for them. And yet 81% of you are counting on it anyway. You're betting on a system you don't trust. That's not a plan. That's a prayer you're living on. Congress could fix it. Lift the cap on taxable income, currently at $176,000. Adjust payroll taxes. Adjust benefits. Options do exist. But you know how fast Congress moves on hard problems. And here's something most of you haven't even factored in yet: healthcare. Fidelity estimates a 65-year-old retiring in 2025 will spend an average of $172,500 on healthcare alone throughout retirement. For a couple, that's $345,000, and that doesn't even include long-term care. 1 in 4 Gen Xers has never even considered healthcare costs in retirement. You might not just be underfunded, you might get completely blindsided by medical bills that eat through everything you've managed to save. Well, this isn't even a doom speech, it's just the truth. And yeah, you need the truth, but you also need to know it's not too late. And there is good news. There always is. Gen Xers who are saving are actually doing it right. You're putting away 15.4% of pay annually, including employer matches. And that tops Fidelity's recommended 15%. In the last quarter of 2025, Gen X increased 401k contributions by 10.7%. You're waking up. Good. Now don't stop. If you're over 50, catch-up contributions are still on the table for you. Thanks to the Secure 2.0 Act, in 2026, you can contribute an additional $8,000 on top of the standard limit, $32,500 total per year. If your employer matches and you're not maxing it out, you're leaving free money sitting there. 4 in 10 Gen Xers have already cut discretionary spending and redirected it toward retirement. 34% have increased contributions. 23% have gotten professional financial advice. 19% have shifted their investment strategy. Right moves, all of them. But the window is narrowing. Every year you wait costs you more than the year before. Look, you didn't create this mess. The rules got changed on you halfway through the game by some lovely folks called boomers. And best believe they made sure they were taken care of and they were all good to go and enjoy their proverbial golden age without a care in the world and without giving 2 hoots whose future they destroyed in the process. And based on my boomer dad's general attitude towards everything in life, that kind of behavior, yeah, it checks out all right. So in 1987, while you were in your bedroom with Cheryl after school, trying to get to third base before your parents got home from work, with Def Leppard's Love Bites blaring as loud as your mid-level boombox would allow, to drown out the sounds of awkward teenage loving experiments? Well, wouldn't you know it, you were also being made the test subjects for a broken experiment. And most of you are now planning to work longer than you ever thought you'd have to. 15% have already pushed back their retirement date, and a gnarly quarter of you believe you'd need to go back to work within 12 months if you retired today. Which, if you ask me, after a lifetime of busting your buns, that's bogus, man. Because working through retirement isn't just a vague possibility anymore. For most of us, it's something called reality. Another one of those "it is what it is" moments. And for us, Generation X, I mean, what else is new? It's all we know, then overlooked and counted out our whole life. Remember when they had the nerve to try to pin us as the lazy generation? But every single time, you figured it out for yourself and came back swinging. Because you knew damn well nobody was coming to do it for you. And buddy, in true Gen X fashion, nobody's coming to save you this time either. But hey, the good news is you still got time to save yourself. And if you're still here watching, first, thank you. This is the first video of the channel. And may I suggest you subscribe and turn on notifications? Because let me tell you, I've worked in finance my whole life. And guess what? This retirement stuff, we're going to figure it out together as a group project, as we Gen X have always done. All right, buddy. Catch you on the flip side.